I've been sitting here researching stuff for hours. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. Somebody actually put this on one of my videos, and I gotta tell you, it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. It says, did anyone think about who was recording them in the elevator? If you remember the Kimberly Wiles messages, she stated that they got to the hotel at 8 p.m. and that they had just came back from eating. She said it was just us in the room and that was in the... She said it was just us in the room that was in the elevator. The only person you don't see is Bree. Is she in front of the three other girls, including Kanika, recording them or on live? Bree is Kimberly Wiles. Remember, Bree left for a while and came back later. They said Bree left with 3 or 4 guys, but that's not true. She left alone and came back with the guys, but whose car did she drive when she left? She came back with Kanika's, just saying. Now, I started thinking about that, and I want to give a shout out to this person on my live, as none of us actually put that together until now. So if this is true, when Bree left, she took Kanika's car, or Miss Teresa's car. So that's why they didn't have the car keys. And then Irene had her phone for the music. So that's why she didn't have her cell phone. Which is probably one of the best points I've heard throughout all these comments and all these chat rooms. You guys get what I'm saying? That's why the story's not adding up. Because when they left the room, they never had the keys or the phone. So it makes sense. So I think Miss Bree has some questions to answer, at least to Mrs. Teresa. So that's my first point. When this all first started going down, like the first week of September, maybe the second week of September, in the live video, at one point, before they started messing with all the footage, somebody said that in the background, you could hear somebody say the name Keith. So I started researching it. And it wasn't until I got my photos back into my computer, after everything that had happened, that I realized I did research a Keith. I don't know if he has anything to do with it, but I'm going to show you who he was, because they did at one point take his photos out of my computer. Right here. This is Keith Barksdale. Now, I'm assuming by the little gang symbol, he's connected somehow. I'm not saying with the murder, but if you look at the last name, you should be able to connect the dots. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but in 1973, Larry Hoover joined forces with David Barksdale. And this kid just happens to have the same last name. I don't know anything about gangs, but when you look up Larry Hoover under Wikipedia, it will tell you the same exact thing that I'm telling you now. So we definitely need to look into that. He actually has 2 different Facebook pages. And this is his other one. So I just happened to go through some of his friends list. And when I was looking at Kanika's MySpace page, based out of Wisconsin, which I don't even know if she really lived in Wisconsin, I found this. Isn't this the chick that said she was friends with Kanika in Wisconsin? Because she lives in Chicago. And I went through her friends list, and it states that she's friends with Kanika Martin. It's the remembering page. If you look real close right down here, well, obviously she's a Vice Lord, which would make sense to why she's friends with Bardsdale. But it says Misha, Jada, Leah, which I'm assuming it's short for Aaliyah, and Big Bro. So I looked those people up. And here's Jada. So obviously she passed away on October 23rd. Now we know they can change dates and they've lied about everything else. So maybe she's a victim that just happened to pass away at that hotel. Maybe not. We'll move on to the next person. Right here. Now it doesn't say remembering, and I don't know if this is the right Misha. But I do know from one of his comments that maybe his girlfriend might have been pregnant and was due on Thanksgiving. I don't know if that was a joke or if it's real. I'm going to look into it. So we have the Jada, and then we have this girl, the Aaliyah. Obviously, she passed away also. And if I don't know, I mean, she kind of maybe looks like the girl that was in the hotel room with the, and in the lobby that had on the cream shirt with the crisscrosses on the back of it, with Lenore and all them, but I'm not too sure. But what is really interesting is when you go to this Jada girl's page, this is what the first list of her friends pops up. I found that kind of odd. So I went through the rest of her friends. She's, I don't believe she's friends with Kanika. She is friends with Maya or Monifa. None of them seem to be friends with Irene. But I find that odd. Keith is friends with all of them also. And, the only person that is friends with Kanika is that Lily. Lily actually is. Now, I don't know how all this ties in together, and like I said, there's a hell of a lot of research that I'm going to put into figuring that out. Or if you guys can help, that would be beneficial, because at this point, I don't understand how all these people are friends, and it adds up to Kanika. Out of nowhere. Now, I know there's a way. I tried to Google it, and I tried it like 15 times, and it's not working, to figure out how to punch in their names if you're not friends with them, to figure out how long they've been friends. And I swear to God, if somebody figures that out, and it comes down to the week that she got murdered, all hell is going to break loose. So, those are just a couple things that I figured out, so let me go over them one more time. We got Lily Mack, who was friends with Kanika in Wisconsin. I looked to see if they were friends with Zach Stoner, and I'm not finding anything. As far as my other video went earlier, Zach Stoner that was arrested on May 27th, that is Kanika's birthday. So, we need to put a little bit more research into that. Then we have Keith. And then we have remembering Jada. Whether or not this guy had passed away, I think his last post was like September 26th or something. We got the famous You Funny as Fuck Bree, who has some questions to answer. And then we have Aaliyah. One more thing, and I'm going to be back to you with this tomorrow after work. There's this. Caddyshack Restaurant, their Florida restaurant that opened in 2001. Murray told Easter Chicago last week he intends to open their second restaurant in December in the suburbs. Rosemont Mayor Bradley Stevens courted the Murphys to his city on a recon trip. Okay, guys, let's find out what date this recon recon trip was. That's pretty important. It says Andy Murray quickly discovered he had competition for real estate from the legendary restaurateur behind Lettuce Entertain You Enterprises. So we want to find out what dates this trip was. And I don't know. I have probably 100 emails from somebody telling me all about this restaurant and what it is going to be. And basically, I'll find those emails for you tomorrow because, like I said, I have to go through like 5,000 pictures. But basically, they're stating that these restaurants are going to be killing kitchens. So I'd like to hear Bill Murray's perspective on that. And maybe that's why this happened, or that's why they're covering this up, because that's a lot of money. And let's do the rest of the research on all these other people and how they died and when they died. And I will be back with you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. And justice for Kanika.